I'm really excited to talk to Bex Perfect today. Bex, tell us a bit more about yourself and what you do.
Oh, well, thank you for having me, Stephanie. Yes, my name is Bex Perfect. I am the founder of Nifty World, which is a Web3 educational platform on YouTube. I'm also the co-founder of The Sidechain, which is a brand new educational platform for emerging tech. So covering everything from NFTs to Web3 to the metaverse and beyond, and AI, of course. But what we do on both of those platforms is try and make all of this a little bit easier for people to understand. I know that the world of Web3 is a little bit daunting for people of all ages. And as someone who has been very early to the space, has a passion for technology, and has really immersed myself in all of it, hopefully I can make things sound a little bit more appealing than maybe they do right now. And hopefully it will make more people feel confident moving into the space because it is inevitable.
It's happening, isn't it? It's happening so fast. Bex, and
Yeah.
whenever I hear Web3, I just have question marks everywhere in my brain. And I think, oh my God, and I have absolutely really no idea. So I'm excited to talk to you today and get into your journey a bit more and into this topic. So tell us a bit how you got to this space. How did you think this sounds exciting? I want to get into that space.
Well, I think it goes a little bit further back than the birth of sort of Web3, which was kind of 2020. I actually have been a broadcaster for the last 10 plus years. So I was a film critic for the BBC and a number of other major UK broadcasters such as Sky, Channel 4, ITV, etc. And I'll be totally honest with you, I got quite burnt out by it all. Watching 3 movies a day as a film critic is a lot. It sounds fun, but actually the reality is that it's full on. And when the pandemic hit and we were no longer technically broadcasting, we were, just sitting at home on Zoom, doing these kind of interviews. It was fine to a point, but it wasn't what I'd been trained to do. And so I was looking for something very new to get into. Now, I started investing in art because, we're always after that little side hustle of passive income and what can we do to generate a bit more wealth for ourselves. And I kind of really started to read into it and try and understand it. And funnily enough, there was a Sunday Times article for anyone that's watching that's not in the UK. The Sunday Times is a weekly magazine that comes as part of the Times newspaper on Sundays here in the UK. And there was an article about digital art and the future of NFTs, which are non-fungible tokens. And I sort of looked at that and spoke to my art advisor and said, do you know anything about this? And he was like, oh, no, it's too early. We don't know anything about this. It's probably just a fad. When someone says something like that to me, I immediately go against the grain and, like a dog to a bone, wanted to find out more and more and more about this. So at the time, during lockdown, one of the big things was Clubhouse. If anyone remembers the Clubhouse app. So I started to join a number of rooms talking about future technology, NFTs, things like that, and got into the idea of understanding what an NFT is, how it works, how it fits into the art world, and why it would be a good investment from an art perspective. So then I decided to take that a little bit further and I started dabbling in it a little bit more. And I didn't realize at the time that I was one of the first women in the space really taking this seriously. So yeah, absolutely. And it was a really welcoming space. People were so optimistic, so hopeful with what this new technology was going to do, that everyone was really welcoming. So I had a really good first-hand experience of getting into this new technology. And what happened from that point was I sort of joined all the dots together and went, well, how can I help other people in this space? What can I do? And because of my broadcast background, I realized that actually using that skill and being able to kind of go, the best thing I can do is start educating people through content. So I started making videos on YouTube. They very quickly got a little bit of traction, and then they got a lot of traction. And someone in the following months and year actually told me that I was the first ever female YouTuber on NFTs. So it's an accolade that I hold very dear to my heart. And I ran with it. I really enjoyed the authority and everything that I was building through that. I was very lucky to have been approached by a number of people off the back of my YouTube channel to, you know, speak to them and get offered opportunities at speaking events. So I've spoken globally about NFTs in particular, and then the broader Web3 space as well, and built up a level of authority. And I think one of the big things that I'd want to say around that is because of who I am as a broadcaster, what I've learned in that craft and that life journey allowed me to kind of be more approachable to a lot of people. So whereas when you're thinking about technology and you're thinking about things that look quite complex and complicated, having a friendly, trusted face guiding you through it resonated with a lot of people. And I still today, despite having taken a 10-month hiatus to have a child, before I relaunch my channel again, yeah, I still get people at events coming up to me going, Nifty World, oh my goodness, you really helped me, and I felt safe, and you know, I really enjoyed watching your videos and things like that. And that to me was, you know, it just meant that I was moving in the right direction.
Bex, it's amazing what you managed, and I think also the level of service you bring to really the world, because it is a maze, and for most people, and I think it's super important to have these educational channels such as Nifty World and Sidechain. Bex, can you tell us just in the shortest form possible, where do you see the incredible opportunity with Web3?
Well, in a nutshell, Web3 is the next iteration of the internet. So it is going to be, it's not where it's going to be how it's going to consume us. Because just like Web2, which is the birth of social media and apps, how many of us can no longer imagine a world where we aren't checking our Instagram, our Facebook, our TikTok, or going on our newest app to go and make our lives more convenient? This is an additive next step of the internet, which will make things more immersive for us. So things might be seeming a little clunky at the moment, but as more and more people get to know the technology, it will become more seamless with our everyday lives. And that's where it's going to go. And that's what I mean by it being a consuming technology rather than something that we're going to follow in a direction.
So, in terms of AI, Bex, where do you feel that is going in the next 5 years?
So AI is an interesting one, right? And I'll link this back to NFTs in a weird way, because every new disruptive technology comes in cycles, and every new technology has its moment. So in 2021, NFTs had its moment, and teenagers, traders, loads of people were making lots of money really quickly. And therefore it was the next big thing. And then suddenly we had a big crypto crash, which was reflective of the general economy around the world. And where we are with AI right now is in that hype moment, that peak moment of technology disruption. And I'm not necessarily saying that we're going to see a massive crash, but what we will see with AI over the next 5 years is it level out to just become, oh, it's part of our everyday life. So other than, oh, did you see the latest ChatGPT update, or what's going on Midjourney or things like that, it's going to again become seamless. What people fail to remember is the fact that actually AI has been around for ages. It just needed a moment in time for it to hit the headlines, and that was the ChatGPT moment. If anyone has been on Facebook and spoken to a customer service representative on the chats, that's a chatbot. That's AI, and you've been doing that for a good couple of years. So AI isn't anything new, but it is going to continue to get bigger, better, more intelligent, worryingly so in some cases. But I think it's going to help a lot of people. I'm a real advocate for it.
Bex, and so what is your main motivator in your role in educating people about all these new technologies? Is it that ethically you feel that you have a role to play in also communicating about the potential dangers of these new technologies that are being built as we speak?
I think I have a responsibility as someone who is deep diving into it to tell people what I know. I think there is also a balance. As much as we can get excited, it's about telling a precautionary tale at the same time to help people safely move into this space. Um, a lot of kind of the top line surface viewpoints of Web3 and AI at the moment is, there's scams, there's, people draining digital wallets, losing lots and lots of money. And I would say scams aren't anything new, they're just taking a new form. So what we're seeing is a disruptive technology that needs to find its feet, and it will benefit a lot of people, a lot of businesses, particularly when it does find its feet. But before it does that, it's going to go through this period of ups and downs, and you just need trusted people within the space to be able to go to, and that, like myself, and provide that help, that guidance. And that's the responsibility that I feel sits on my shoulders to be able to do, because I already have a community of people who come to me with that level of trust.
Yeah, amazing, Bex. Bex, so what would you say is your top quality and what makes you so good at doing that?
Do you know what? I just think I'm a really friendly, nice person in a world where, if anyone's grown up gone through high school and they've seen cliques and have felt a little bit of an outsider or not really part of something, I just feel like the communities in Web3 that have been built opened up their arms to a lot of those outside communities to say, come on, you can, if you weren't, and this is one of the positives of the pandemic, actually, not that there were many positives, but one of the few positives was that people who didn't feel confident IRL or in real life suddenly felt like had a community to go to and like-minded people. And I want to embrace that and implore that to a lot of other people. And I think the qualities that I have of always giving people time to say their piece, always allowing people to feel like they're not asking a silly question, and to feel like if they're interested in learning, that they can take that leap, and giving them the confidence to do that. Particularly women, actually, because I think, excuse me, traditionally in tech, it's very male dominated. Traditionally in crypto, it's male dominated. And, by having a few strong women in the space who can fight a corner and stand up for other, minorities within the space to come through and thrive, I think it's, helping to right the wrongs of the past. So I feel like there's a responsibility there, and that's something that I can do quite well, because I do like to stand my ground where I need to.
Yes, and thank God, Bex, because that we are still considered a minority is also crazy in itself, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, it really is. And I think this is the thing. I think that the message that myself and other strong women in the space, like my business partner on the side chain, Lauren Ingram, who runs Women of Web3, we really feel like it's up to us to push those barriers and to say, think about inclusion, think about diversity. Don't have the same problems that we had in Web2. Let's make sure that we make change now whilst this technology is still really early.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Bex, so what are you most proud of? What is the thing that you're most proud of that in your journey?
Well, apart from having my daughter, who is going to be native to the Web3 world, if not beyond, that's obviously, from a personal perspective, that came right in the middle of my journey in Web3. But actually, being able to build a business that I love, that I'm passionate about, that I took a leap of faith on, and continuing to do when there's a lot of naysayers out there. We mentioned AI just a minute ago, but actually, because of the hype around AI, a lot of people are like, oh, Web3 is dead, NFTs are dead, the metaverse is dead. And we're like, well, no, we're just quietly building in the background, and it will come back. And we've lost a lot of people because the moment everything crashed, people left. And that's fine, that's their journey. But I think I'm really proud of being able to sustain my path. And don't get me wrong, there was some wobbly moments, but at the same time, like, thinking, no, this is going to be the future, and encouraging others who want to build in this space to know that they're probably building those unicorn companies of tomorrow if they keep at it, which is just so exciting. And for me, makes me really proud that I feel like all of my journeys, and I say that plural, I've had a lot of different journeys over time, from being a broadcaster to a business consultant, and so many more, and a coach to a point, and being so many more of those things, bringing all that together, it's like all roads have led to where I am today. And now the hard work really begins, but at the same time I'm most proud that it's all finally making sense, if that makes sense to
Yeah.
everyone.
Yeah, no, I love that. And I think that's often a woman's journey, because we don't necessarily stick to the same career, because we've got things happening outside that
We
lead
are excellent
to.
multitaskers.
Yes, absolutely. And make us pivot and divert, and we're not scared of doing that necessarily. Bex, what would your top tips be for anyone now thinking, oh my God, how can I get ready for this new world?
Educate, educate, educate. This is your time to learn, to test, and to make mistakes. And if you don't take that leap of faith and get into this, you might miss an opportunity. I always remind people that if they remember back to the birth of Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok, and if they'd have just embraced that at that period of time, where would they be right now? Where would their business be? What would they be doing differently now if they had been an early adopter to that? Right now, you have that opportunity to do that with Web3. So learn, test, grow, make those mistakes, because and come to people like myself, the side chain, to Lauren as well, to make sure that you get the right education. One of the biggest flaws and most off-putting parts of Web3 at the moment is that there is a level of anonymity around it. So people, that has a double-edged sword, because people feel like they can be anything that they want to be, which is in some ways really positive, because it's empowering for people who don't have the confidence to be themselves in real life. But at the same time, that can be taken in a wrong way, and there can be lots of people who hide behind a pseudonym or whatever to to cover up who they really are in a negative way. And that's why I've always been really keen to put my face out there and to make sure that I'm very visible, so that not only am I held accountable for things that I do as I test and learn in this space and grow, but also I think it's really important as someone to give people that trust and that level of comfort, that they have someone that they can go to that they physically know exists as well. Yeah, I mean, this is why the next phase of my business, the side chain, is developing courses so that people feel like what they're doing is able to get that education in a way that is accessible in a, let's call it a Web2 way that you're familiar with, rather than having to search for it on a search engine and not know what you're searching for. It's all going to be in one place so that you have all the access and tools that you need to be able to love the space, realize that it's not necessarily right for them, but at least that you can give it a go and you can test it out and make a balanced, well-rounded judgment before you decide what your next steps are.
An informed decision, yeah. Bex, I'm very
Absolutely.
excited about Sidechain. So tell us a bit more about your plans and goals for the future. What is Sidechain? What is that going to develop into?
So it's going to be a big community of like-minded men, women, small business owners, founders, entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, people that just want to get into the space. We have plans where the first thing we're doing is launching a foundation course, which gives you your A to Z of emerging tech. And that's really important because as much as myself and Lauren have been in this space for such a long time, we forget that people that are stepping into the space, or not us, because we've written a whole course about it, but a lot of people forget that actually what we think is really basic is actually really complicated to, new people into the space. So what we've done is made that first foundation course, which gives you that step-by-step instruction into the world of Web3. And then from that, it will go into individual courses for individual industries. So you'll look at digital fashion. So if there's anyone watching who is interested in learning about that space and how they can become a stylist in the metaverse, or maybe it's about building clothes for an avatar or things like that. We will get the experts in who really know their stuff there to contribute to a future course on that. But not only that, we really see the brand being built in a way that empowers everyone to embrace this new technology. So whether or not you just want a quick downloadable, and actually, sorry to plug this, Stephanie, but it's really helpful. If you sign up for our newsletter, you literally get a free downloadable called Future Proof in 5, which gives you your very first steps into Web3, and it's completely free and it's worth $49. So it's like, we want to make sure that we give something back to the community so that you know where to go to take those first steps. So we're just here to help. And I hope that my journey within Web3 for the future is to continue to help lots of people in physical realms, but also digital ones too.
Bex, and we want you to plug, we want to promote you. So we're super excited to promote Sidechain on She Can, and we will do that in various different forms that you and I will talk about. So thank you so much for talking to us today, and I'd like to highly recommend people to sign up to your newsletter. We're going to have all the information in your bio on our site, and thank you so much for talking to us today.
Thank you so much, Stephanie. It's been a real pleasure, and I hope it's been inspiring for a lot of you guys watching today.
Very inspiring.